Hello there, and thank you for joining us on the Monday edition of Journalists Hangout here on TVC News. I am Kemi Fola Adeyemo. Today on the program, INEC is concerned about security in Anambra State as gunmen burn DSS, FRSC buildings and attack police stations. Plus, Boko Haram cripples governance in Niger communities, fires or fixes marital age for girls. And later on the program, Liverpool, Manchester City share the honor as surprises punctuate European League matches. I'll be hanging out today with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Mayor Akinpelu. Welcome, gentlemen, to the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you're ready, Journalist Hangout starts now. After more than 2 months of downing of tools, a sigh of relief has come the way for many Nigerians desiring medical attention as resident doctors have now suspended their nationwide strike. Now, the resident doctors resolved to pick up their stethoscopes once again, but the industrial action will be resuscitated after 6 weeks if the government fails to address their grievances. Newly elected President Godiya Ishaya at a news conference in Abuja says the intervention of President Muhammadu Buhari as well as the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and other notable personalities made the body to put their strike on hold, and that's how we begin the program this evening. BKO, it was a hard-fought battle after more than 2 months. So the National Association of these doctors are now, calling off their strike, but they say they will resume after 6 weeks if nothing is done. What do you make of this development?
Yes, I just hope that government will not go to sleep again after for 6 weeks, because this happened before. We had a situation in which these guys called off their suspended their strike in April, and we waited and waited and waited. We refused to address the issues that prompted them to go on strike in the first place, and they now decided to resume the strike. So government needs to move quickly and address those concerns. There was an emergency NMA delegate meeting that began from 12 noon on Saturday and ended around 10 p.m. So the NMA literally owned the strike, took things over, because when a little boy can't be negotiating for his parents, that's the way the NMA took the matter, because some of the issues that even the resident doctors were asking for, like the issue of hazard allowance, concerns every medical practitioner. It's not just resident doctors. They are the consultants, the very senior people. This also concerns them. So I think the lesson from this is that when the government is dealing with this kind of issue, you've got to get the NMA involved, because as we have seen now, the moment the NMA got involved in this, we had a respite. If the government had brought in the NMA as the parent body, they would have been able to achieve some form of unanimity, but they didn't do that on time. The resident doctors had their own emergency ESCO meeting last night, and there it was resolved that that they should resume on Wednesday. That's because it's possible that some people had traveled. So if they were told to resume today, it may be difficult. So that's why they gave that time, time to say, we are all coming back on Wednesday.
At your duty post.
Wednesday, yes, because a lot of them will have left town.
Right. Before we continue the discussions on the strike being called off, by the resident doctors, let's hear from the union themselves.
NEC resolved by vote of a simple majority to suspend the total and indefinite strike action embarked upon on 2nd August 2021. Therefore, our members will resume full work on Wednesday, 6 October 2021.
The president of the union there, Godia Ishaya, having listened to BK Omeyo, what's your position on how well the federal government fared in resolving these issues?
Yeah, I think it's a good development, but I'm just hopeful that the Minister for Labour will change his position, because his utterances and his negotiation skill does not show somebody that wants to solve a problem. You know, there was a time he was saying that we have enough doctors, and he doesn't say any reason why doctors will move to other climes. So he has to change. He has to change his sitting on a high horse style of dealing with the situation, because doctors, the medical sector is a very important sector that affects the lives of our people. So it's important for government to look at it in a very serious way. And I think that the 6 weeks that they've been given, if there is enough will from government, they should be able to have consensus on the issues that are being raised. But I can only be hopeful, because I don't really trust the man who is going to do most of the negotiation on behalf of government.
But even if you look at the gains, especially the losses during this more than 2-month-old strike, especially the capital, the human capital that the country has lost during this period, and other, losses, if you will, weigh the quantum of this kind of industrial action, can they be replaced? BQ?
No, it's really tough. It's a sector that has suffered neglect over the years. We are not talking about just inadequate medical personnel, but inadequate medical infrastructure across board in our country. There is supposed to be a general hospital in each of the 774 local governments we have in our country. By design, that was what was supposed to be on ground. But what do we have? Most of the local government, and overwhelming majority of the local governments, don't have general hospitals. We don't have general hospitals. At best, what you have are primary health centers. So and primary health centers are supposed to be in every political ward. We've not been able to deliver on that. Now we can't get our best doctors to remain here and work. In the past, they were not even targeting senior medical doctors. But as we saw in the last recruitment exercise at the Ladi Kwali Hall in Abuja, the people that they targeted were the very senior people. To the point that one of the applicants even said that the medical college was part of the people writing the exam. She too had become a senior person. Now the person who trained her was part of those who sat for that examination. So it's a massive shame. And our doctors excel abroad. Wherever they go, they excel. But we can't keep the best doctors here. We can't even attract enough doctors to work in rural areas. Everyone is coming to work in the tertiary health institutions, talking about national hospital, talking about teaching hospitals. Those teaching hospitals are supposed to be at the height of it. You go to UCH. There are no less than 1,000 doctors at UCH, not less than 700 doctors at LUT. They are supposed to work in other areas, spread across. But nobody is willing, because the incentive to make you stay in the rural areas is not there. Security is also a factor now. You go to Kogi and some states. I was in Kogi, and doctors were telling me that these days when they are doing their ward rounds, they are backed with AK-47 carrying policemen.
Wow.
Just because people, they target doctors. Kidnappers target doctors. So doctors doing ward rounds, they go around on their ward rounds with AK-47 and AK-49 wielding policemen. So is that bad? So if things get to that point, how would we be able to take care of our people in the rural areas? People are not interested in working in the rural areas. So there are so many things that government has to do. You promised to pay increased hazard allowance that was last increased in 1991. You didn't fulfill your promise. You pushed them to start this strike. Now this strike has been postponed because people like the Sultan came in and said, see, I want to take over this negotiation. Leave it to me. Now it's up to the Sultan to make sure that the government listens and does what these doctors want. Because his own honor is at stake. They decided to listen because people of that caliber got involved. So what will happen after 6 months if we still have the belligerent attitude of the current Minister of Health, who thinks it is by fighting words that he can resolve issues? No. You need somebody with persuasive skills. You need somebody who has a capacity to negotiate, not simply somebody who will be talking to them as if they are his school pupils.
All right, Vicky. And Mayor, we hope that the next 6 weeks will indeed, produce much more fruitful deliberations between the federal government and these doctors, much more than we have witnessed over the past months. In the meantime, let's move on now to talk about yet another burning issue, this time the situation in Anambra State, where all eyes are on the unfolding and disturbing incidents coming out of there. With the November the 6th governorship election in the state just a month away, the Independent National Electoral Commission is concerned about the rising insecurity in the southeastern state. In the latest attacks, gunmen burnt buildings of the DSS and the Federal Road Safety Corps in Nnewi. Eyewitnesses say the hoodlums stormed the offices, overpowered the personnel and set the facilities ablaze. They also invaded and razed the house of the former spokesperson of the All Progressives Congress in Lagos State, Joe Boko, in Uragu, Nnewi. Mayor, what do you make of all these concerns in Anambra State? Indeed, it's a month to the governorship election. It is very scary because before our very eyes, IPOB is turning to a full-fledged terrorist organization. Because what they are doing is not different from what Boko Haram is doing. You believe this is IPOB at work? I believe so. I believe so, because you see, it was when they started the agitation that there was a time, the last time they move up to this phase of attacking correctional centers, attacking police stations. If you remember that governments deploy different kind of security outfit there, and a lot of their commanders were killed or arrested. So I still believe that it is still the same group, but the unknown government, saying unknown government is we are just trying to dance away from reality. It's IPOD members. And my problem is that there's a difference between agitation and terrorizing people. Because even now, to go to Joe, of course, because when you attack somebody that does not share, even when you are fighting a cause, everybody will not agree with that cause. It is not fair for you to impose your views on other people. So if Joe Boko has the right to say, I don't agree with the way IPOB is doing things, but because what they are doing, the students will want to do exams, they will say students must not do exams, they will call for sitting, and when they see you, they will attack you for not obeying what they said. Now they've resumed attacking public institutions and burning houses of people who do not agree with them. The elders in Southeast, they must do something about this thing, because this is how Boko Haram started. When people do things and we allow it to fester, it becomes something that will be very difficult to control. What is going on in Southeast is very, very scary. And I hope that the leaders in Igbo land will know that what they are doing is destroying their homeland. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. You can agitate, yes, you have reasons to agitate. This is your right to do so. But trying to achieve your aim through
this senseless violence, to me, does not make sense. It does not make sense at all. Yes, though you can burn Joe Igboko's house. Probably some of his friends will give him resources to build it again. But you cannot be doing that. You know, they've attacked the houses like that. Even the house of the governor was attacked. You know, you can't be doing that. You can't be doing that. They are trying to, they are not going about their agitation in the right way. And at the end of the day, things may go out of hand because the way it's going now is very scary.
All right, let me hear from BKO, because for this issue has more or less divided the state. Some have accused IPOB. IPOB continues to deny, having a hand in this attacks and killings. The government and some other politicians believe this is a political matter that, happened from the period of primaries in the three major parties in Anambra State. But what do you think as to how things have degenerated?
I think the reason is a lot worse in Anambra is because of the approaching elections. IPOB had been, especially the paramilitary wing of IPOB had been involved in enforcing the sit-at-home order in the East. But it came out to say, no, we are no longer doing sit-at-home, except on the days that Kano will be brought to court. But we've seen hoodlums enforcing sit-at-home that the IPOB had already said is no longer interested in. So the question then is, who is doing this? Who is responsible for this? If IPOB says it's no longer interested, remember, even when some vehicles conveying livestock, one vehicle conveying livestock was destroyed, even Nnamdi Kanu himself came out to say, who are the animals who carried out this attack? When we have a looming state of anarchy, sometimes the people you felt were carrying out the attacks may not be the people behind the attacks. That's how the idea of a fifth columnist, that phrase, fifth columnist, can come in at this time. I've seen reports where a man powerful, who is the spokesman of IPOB, said, we are no longer doing, yet you still see some boys going around attacking people for going to work on. So who is behind this? Are there some undesirable elements, some fifth columnists carrying out some of these attacks? It's difficult to say, because I remember that in 1993, I was working for the news magazine and we interviewed the current president, Muhammadu Buhari, and he said he did not know how Awolowo's house was ransacked, his library overturned. He did not know. He didn't order it. Some people on their own, just to discredit the Babangida, the Buhari regime, they decided to attack Awolowo's house. So I relate, is either right now we have criminals on the loose that are not listening to anyone, or hoodlums, some hoodlums just took it upon themselves to do some of the things that they are doing. Right. Because if you have a group and the group said, no, we are not doing sit at home, why are people still being killed for going to work? Right.
BKO, let me bring in Dada from Anambra State. Good evening, welcome. Sorry for keeping you.
Good evening, Marisita. I'm calling from Onitsha in Anambra State.
Carry on,
hello.
Please. Carry on.
Okay, please. Let me correct one impression from Mayor Kimpelu. For him now to allege all this issue that is IPOB. No. We are the people that is living right here in Anambra State. I've been following journalists Hangout. Both Babajide, all of you people, I know all of you people. This is my first time of calling. The impression I'm trying to correct is not IPOB. This thing is politically motivated. Right now, as I'm talking to you people, I'm right inside my house. You can't go out. They are terrorizing everybody. They don't allow anybody to come out any longer. Maybe tomorrow again they will allow us, maybe by next tomorrow or by Thursday, they will start their shooting. Maybe killing 1 or 2 or 3 people. Then we will rush back to our house again. So please, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. So let us try and cover some other grounds now in the issue in Anambra State. Okay, so Governor Willie Obiano has been, talking about this of recent now. He's quoted as saying he may be the governor, but the president is the chief security officer of the state. But then there are also, reactions to what he has said. How much of what Governor Obiano said, how much of that is, passing the buck? It's
not passing the buck. That's the reality. The governors are supposed to be chief security officers in their state, but they are not. They cannot even control the commissioner of police in the state. Because of this unitary security system that we have, powers flows from Abuja. It is the IG that will deploy the commissioner. It is the IG that will give instruction to the commissioner. In some cases, where the governor have a good relationship with the commissioner, yes, there can be a synergy in what they do. But if the governor's position is different from the IG's position, the commissioner will listen to the IG and not listen to the commissioner. So it is the federal government that can deploy police. It is the federal government that can deploy soldiers. So it is important that the federal government should do so, because politics in Anambra State have always been violent in those like that. It has always been like that in the state. In fact, if you remember, even the governor of the state was once kidnapped by some political people there, kidnapped and put in a toilet and asked to resign. So they've always, it has always happened. So I expected the federal government to be able to know that it is important to deploy more security personnel in Anambra State as the election is coming. I agree with that. But my problem, my fear is that, yes, politicians can get involved in this violence. But to what benefit would a politician that want to contest a governorship election attack a DSS office, or attack FRSC office, or in some cases, in other cases, attack correctional centers? To what purpose would the man do that? Yes, they do violence because they use the violence to dominate the environment, scare people from voting. And there may be disgruntled elements, from the party. Yes, I agree that a lot of violence happening in Anambra State has to do with the election that was coming. I concede that. But my problem is that to what benefit would a politician attack DSS office or attack public government? So what essence? So it doesn't add anything to what it's going to achieve. So there's no reason for doing that. It's just that now we have different group of people instigating violence. So it's coming from all angles. I concede that. So it is federal government that can solve the problem, because Obiano, yes, can get involved, but Obiano does not have the power to really provide security in that place. Okay, Mayor, let me put your thoughts on hold now. But PKO, so this debate now, the state versus the federal government, who controls? The federal government obviously controls the police, the DSS, the Nigerian army that has now started an operation, Exercise Golden Dawn in Anambra State. But how much confidence do you think, do you have in these efforts to curtail the violence in Anambra?
I said some time ago on this program, when we sent troops and the Air Force to Imo and they attacked the Olu forests and there was a bit of calm, I said this kind of agitation, you cannot quell it at once. There will be some people who will be resigned to fighting till death. They've been indoctrinated. There's nothing you can tell them. It is either you give them that Biafran state or nothing. There are many people like that who are prepared to die. They listen to Nnamdi Kanu and they worship him. These are young people who never experienced the Civil War. Some of them didn't even read stories about the Civil War. To now tell them that, look, stop this, it will not pay you in the end. They are not going to listen. They are not going to listen. And there are many. This is the fact. So I said at that time that, look, it's not going to be easy to put an end to this agitation. We don't learn. That is the problem. We don't learn. At the point they were saying, no, Abba Kyari has silenced them, it's no longer happening. When you attack an area, you concentrate on an area, you start hearing trouble about trouble in other places. Nigerian Army set up an army base in Ohafia because we were getting a lot of disturbances in the Ohafia area. Now, you hardly hear of disturbances in Ohafia, but how about other places? Can the army be everywhere at the same time? The answer is no. The answer is no. That is why I support other measures beyond military action that can help us address this problem, put this problem to bed.
I agree.
That's why I address it. It's not in all cases that you succeed with military action. People do, sometimes when you talk about it, they say, oh, what's he saying rubbish. When we send troops to go and take on the Niger Delta Avengers, at that time now, Avengers, what did we see? They continued bombing our export terminals. Because you don't need an army to bomb an export terminal, maybe 2 persons, they're just enough. And they know where all of those export terminals are. In the end, what did we do? We got the VP and Kachiku. They were the ones who negotiated with them. And the bombing stopped. From just producing about 500,000 barrels a day, right, we got back to producing about 1.8 million.
So carrot and stick.
So it's not all the time that you must use force.
Okay.
All right, gentlemen.
If you use both, use force, and you can use force as well as
still seek to agree.
Yes, on one hand.
All right, gentlemen, we'll put the discussions on hold for now, and return on Journalist Hangout on TVC News after this break. Stay with us. Thank you very much for staying with us on Journalist Hangout on TVC News. Well, things seem to have taken another turn now as Boko Haram insurgents are coercing residents of Shiroro local government area of Niger State into marrying off their daughters at the age of 12. And residents of the affected communities say the insurgents have ordered them not to recognize any constituted authority. The chairman of the Shiroro local government area, Suleiman Chukuba, confirmed the influx of Boko Haram terrorists, saying only 4 wards were invaded, and he says residents were made to believe that they were Boko Haram elements because of their mode of preaching. It's such a concern for me because, Niger State, away is bad enough that Boko Haram is, doing this much damage in the northeast, but this is Niger State, and it shares a particular proximity with the FCT. And then we are reading of, these onslaughts on their part. What do you make of this, Mayor?
I don't think it's a new development. It's been happening for some time. There was a time we discussed when some Boko Haram elements were able to, when their governor confirmed that they were actually controlling some local governments and all that. And what is happening now is just an effect of it, because when Boko Haram, after Shekau, there's no effective leadership within Boko Haram now. So a lot of their foot soldiers, some have given themselves up, but a lot of them are moved out of Sambisa forest into neighboring states. And Niger State seems to be one of the areas where they are very active. But you see, why it is dangerous is because it is bad enough that we are fighting the citizens not to listen to any other authority. What they are saying is that, as at now, they are the authority in that local government. and it is unacceptable. The federal government, I know that our army and the government have done very well because it's a very difficult war. We concede that. But we have to double our efforts and make sure that we don't allow Boko Haram to, because you see, they keep moving. Before, the theater of war was northern part of Borno mostly, and maybe Sambisa Forest. But now, they are moving into areas where if something can happen in Niger, like you said, Abuja is in play. Because if they are comfortable enough to preach, move around, give instructions, marry young girls off, who says they cannot come to Abuja tomorrow? So the government has to realize that its own authority as government is being threatened.
But BKO, why in your opinion is Niger State such a vulnerable state as this? I mean, what is a Niger State for Boko Haram?
Boko Haram had always wanted to expand its tentacles. Remember, early on, Boko Haram were in Yobe, they were in Gombe, they were in Adamawa, Borno State. They were very active in Kano. In fact, they carried out an operation in Kano in which more than 120 people died in one day.
At the bus station or something. Yeah.
Yes, they were opening up prisons and all that, detention centers they opened. And they had been active in Abuja too, carrying out bombing attacks and all that. Then, in order to survive, they decided to shut down some of their sleeper cells because they now realize that, look, after the 2015 election, you know, it became clear to them that, look, we can't be everywhere. In order to survive, let's adopt the Al-Shabaab method. Keep the areas where we are strong. And that was why they decided to remain in 3 states. Adamawa, Yobe, and Borno State. Now, sometime last year, early last year, Shekau published pictures of members of his faction of Boko Haram inside Niger State. I said it on this program when it happened, but some people denied. Remember, Shekau was the one who organized the kidnap of the government secondary school Kankara students.
In Niger.
He was the one who gave the bandits money to arrange the kidnap. And he was the first to publish pictures of those children in captivity. When he said that, people said it's a lie. In fact, there was a particular presidential spokesman who did a tweet that, oh, you are a liar. Because he felt that, people should not know that Boko Haram was spreading its tentacles. Not long after that, the governor of Niger State came out to tell us that Boko Haram was in his state. In fact, he gave the distance from that place to Abuja, that look, if we joke with this matter, we'll be in trouble. I've seen a video where Boko Haram gathered people in Niger State and were forcing Christians to convert to Islam in that same Niger State. This is not new. Why we can't go and dislodge them from where they are? We know where they are. We always behave like we don't know these things. These things, look, within the security family in our country, we know where those guys are in Niger. We know the local government. The governor knows. People in that state, they know. But why we have not gone there to chase them away and put an end to the nonsense that they are doing? In today's Nigeria, you don't want to hear that Boko Haram is controlling territories. But we are being told now that even in Niger, not Borno, we've denied that of Borno for so long. They don't control any territory. Lie from the pit of hell. No, Niger, we are being told now. So the chairman said it's only 4 wards. So those 4 wards, are they not Nigerian territory? What nonsense. Oh, it's only 4 wards that they are controlling. Who is asking you how many wards? The issue is, at this stage in our national history, should Boko Haram and elements affiliated to it control even any blade of grass in Nigeria? Should it be happening? See the mess that they are putting our people to. In the islands of Lake Chad, they are forcing our people to pay taxes to them for them to be allowed to farm. They will now publish pictures of lush green vegetation. See people, their farms are doing well. They send those pictures as part of their propaganda that, look, if you behave yourself, if you do what we want you to do, you will live a luxuriant life like your pasture. So this is the thing. That thing has been on for some time in Niger. But we are a country where we like to live in denial. But the role of the press is to continue to highlight this. These issues. When will the armed forces go and put an end to that nonsense? Right. That is the question that needs to be answered.
Even at that, how much of blame, Mayor, would you also place on, the parts on the quarters of those who are governing us? Boko Haram is now reported to be enticing residents in these Niger communities. Money is even pushing them, attempting to push them to attempt to topple the government, and a host of other, alleged atrocities. Why can't the government, do that? Because it seems to an average mind that there doesn't seem to be government presence in these areas.
It still boils down to lack of will to do the needful, because it's basically a security situation, and because we live in denial, we tend to close our eyes and wish the problem to just go away. We know that problem is in Niger. We've discussed it on this program before when the governor said, oh, they are controlling certain amounts of local governments in it. So it was the governor that said so. And we told the government then that, look, you cannot allow Boko Haram to, we are not talking of Borno now, you cannot allow Boko Haram to be controlling places in Niger State, which is just next state to Abuja. We told the government then, yet government has not done anything about it. And because you live in denial does not mean the problem will not be there. The problem is there, and it will fester. Because the problem is that when you now, the people that live in that area, they are now at the mercy of these Boko Haram foot soldiers. And they are in the position to do whatever they like. Because since they are the authority at that time, since government has shared this authority is a responsibility, that those Boko Haram fighters have become government in those local governments. They are the government there. So it is whatever they tell the people that they will do.
Otherwise they will kill them.
Otherwise they will kill them. So if they tell you that, oh, you must pay tax to us, by way of saying before you can go to your farms, you have to pay X amount of money. If you want to go to your farms, you have to pay that X amount of money. If they say now that, look, people must marry at the age of 12, you are not in a position to stop them from doing that, which is not right. So it is because government, the federal government is not, and the security of lives and property is the primary duty of government.
The government secondary school Kagara students that were kidnapped. After the kidnap, a video was shot. In that video, the speaker paid tribute to Abubakar Shekau. Paid tribute to Abubakar Shekau. What is the meaning of that? It means that Boko Haram...
Because the speaker of where?
This person who spoke in the video.
All right, okay.
You know, they kidnapped students of government... Yes. That's Shehu Sane's school. That's where he graduated from. They shot a video.
Yes, okay. I needed you to be clear on
they
that.
Shot a video.
When you said the speaker.
Right. No. I said this. That's the person who spoke in the video. The speaker now said he paid tribute to Shekau. People should go and get that video. Those who prefer to deceive themselves that these people have not spread beyond the northeast, they should go and get that video. You will see where they was paying tribute to Shekau, meaning that Shekau had a hand in that kidnap because they need some of the money, you know, to oil their own campaign, their activities. They need some of the money from these criminalities to oil their this thing. So that's why they kidnap people, they stay on highway, kidnap people. So it's no longer news that Boko Haram has gone beyond the northeast. What we should be doing is to ensure that they don't even spread beyond Niger to
neighboring states and
maybe
even,
Kwara.
And even beyond.
Because Kwara is their neighbor, you know, they don't spread beyond that area. Let's contain them where they are and serve justice to them. The Chief of Army Staff boasted the other day that he's been sending people to go and keep an appointment with God. That is what we should be doing. Even God will not be against that. And the more you do that, the more we will respect you. The more you will earn our plaudits. His home state, the Chief of Army Staff, his parents are both from Sokoto and Zamfara. Neither of those two states is at peace with bandits. Bandits have moved into Sokoto doing what they like now. In the Sabombrini area, they even kill soldiers. In Zamfara, they are still there. The forests are extensive. We know that is a problem. But they are still there.
All right. Thanks, BKO and Mayo.
Thank you.
Thanks to you all for joining in and sending and calling with your contributions. That's at 7 on Journalist Hangout today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11. Don't forget to also join us on Sunday for Journalist Hangout Sunday Special. And we're on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Kemi Folade and more from all of us here. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. And God bless Nigeria.